IVM.
This show is brought to you by IVM Podcasts. At IVM, we strive to get you the best podcasts every week in and week out. This has been a great week on IVM. We're launching a new show on the 21st of May, hosted by Veda. It's called Who's Your Mommy? And it's all about motherhood. I think you guys are really going to enjoy that. Also, check out Cyrus Says. He had Tanvi Mehra this week as a guest. Tanvi basically is a yoga instructor, and she makes Cyrus do yoga in the studio. That's quite fun. Also, make sure you catch Simplified this week. Chuck, Naren, and Shrika talk about how Facebook is targeting you. And, well, given the news these days, I'm sure that's something that's of interest to everybody. On Paisa Vaisa this week, Anupam talks to Costa Belapurkar. He's the director of fund research at Morningstar, and it's a really interesting episode that gets into the ins and outs of mutual funds. Please definitely do check that out. So, guys, we also have a great new Hindi show called Pulyabazi. This last Thursday, we released an episode around the Indian-Afghanistan relationship over the years, and it's really interesting. The show is hosted by Pranay and Saurabh, both of whom are part of the Takshashila Institute, and I think that we're very glad to have them as part of the IVM family. And guys, just as a reminder, please follow us on social media as IVM Podcast. Please do reach out. We would love to hear from you. Also, wherever you're listening to this podcast, please see if you can give us a rating over there, or if you can give us a review over there, whether that's Apple Podcasts or whether that's CastBox or wherever you're listening to your podcast, or the IVM app for that matter. It's a really good app. You should check it out. And now let me get you onto your show.
You're listening to TFG Football.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the TFG Indian Football Podcast. Chiranjit is in his hometown. I am in my hometown. And here we are together again, apart but connected to the podcast. And what's in common for both of us is both of us are drained out. One of us is drained out after the heat, and the other one is drained out after a long writing about a lot of things that it comes as a surprise to many, but not as a surprise for the ones who've been following Indian football. Yes, we are talking about the points that Chiranjit has got his hands on, the FIFA document that he got hold of, and
FIFA document.
Okay, so that's that's a treasure that he's got hold of, and he's already shared the pearls of wisdom that he had to find out from that. Obviously, there is more to it than what you hear and what you see. Here we are talking about that. Obviously, to some extent, we already have an extensive episode with Chiranjit and Nikhil in the TFG tackles, but we will just go on top of that before we head on to big news that is coming on from the Indian national camp. But Chiranjit, before we get into that, we cannot skip talking about this one Indian club that is making history, and yet another knockout stage appearance for Bengaluru FC. And what a drama that was. Nothing was in the hand. All they wanted to do is win and then hope a miracle happens, and it did happen. Aizawl turned out to be saviors for Bengaluru FC, beating New Radiant Sports Club there. And what a night that was! What a night!
Yeah, I think Bengaluru FC should just acknowledge the coach who has brought them this far. Just given them direction, got them points in Guwahati and other places when they were playing, and just stayed with them till the last moment. And when they needed it, he delivered a very sensational win that got them into the AFC Cup knockouts. I'm of course talking about Santosh Kashyap. The whole credit goes to him. Bengaluru FC should send him like the gift hamper that Bengaluru FC often sends at the end of the season to rival clubs. They should send like 5 or 6 to Aizawl FC, a couple of them for Santosh Kashyap. And because I seriously going in there, everybody knew that Bengaluru FC was going to win, like they were in some fashion. Nobody expected it to be dominant that much, but yeah, we knew Bengaluru FC was going to do it. But Aizawl FC going out there and holding up, just playing that desperate brand of football that they did. That was a surprise. That was a delight to watch. And it kind of reminded me of some of the matches that India plays at the international stage. We know that we are not the best team on the pitch. We are on the defense. But that spirit shone through, okay, they knew they were going to defend. They knew they had to have numbers on the back, but they fought resolutely and they took their chances when it came their way. And that's what in the end football is all about. The best team doesn't always win. The team with more spirit, takes the. I just ran out of words to describe Aizawl FC's win against New Radiant.
It was really, it felt as if it was two Indian clubs, trying to save each other. But it was more Aizawl trying to give in that, that extra bit of effort that they needed, that platform for Bengaluru FC to reach the quarterfinals, to reach the knockouts.
It was no longer in their hands. And you have to remember when Bengaluru FC were playing and absolutely decimating Abahani, they didn't know whether it was going to pay off, right? So in a way, both of them went out there to just fight for pride. Aizawl FC had no way to reach the knockout stages, so they were just purely fighting for pride. And Bengaluru FC didn't know even if they won. For all intents and purposes, they probably assumed, let's not even worry about it because Aizawl FC probably are not going to hold New Radiant, so let's just give it our best and finish the season in style. And what they got on top of it was a bonus. But it was just two teams playing for pride. One being dominant, and the other saying because they knew this was going to be their last game in the Asian level in a long time. Because of course they're not in. They didn't win any. Either they didn't win the I League this time, so they're not in Asia next season. They'll have to win the top division. Maybe restructuring. Pata nahi kya hoega. You just don't know when Aizawl FC will play in Asia again.
Yeah.
So they wanted to end it on a high note. They wanted to have something to show for it, like we did something and we made something of ourselves when we went out and played in Asia.
There's a little bit of Santosh Kashyap over here, coming back to the Mumbai FC days. Obviously, we are not many Mumbai FC fans will be happy about this. But what is the kind of football that he played towards to end of this season? And what if this could have been the result against some of the teams that came to Mumbai FC when he was in charge? We saw a similar kind of gameplay.
No. See, when he was a very different coach, I think, when he was at Mumbai FC, because he comes to Mumbai FC talking about top three and attacking football, amazing Indian, incredible aliens, all that
fantastic
stuff.
Foreigners.
But what happened? What happened with the Aizawl FC team? He defended. He went in there knowing he would have to defend, and he defended. And he came out on top using this is like almost of a Khalid Jamil kind of football that Aizawl FC played, and I think that they benefited because the club was already used to that brand of football from before.
Yeah.
So it's a completely different thing that paid off. He didn't go in there with arrogance. He went in there, with some critical thinking about what is possible with the players that he had. So hats off to him. But this is not the Santosh Kashyap that was at Mumbai FC. This maybe it's the Waingawala Santosh Kashyap that's making a comeback. But I would say the situation is a little bit different because that Royal Wainga team had a little bit more flair than this Aizawl FC team. So,
yeah, and talking about obviously so many things about everything else other than Bengaluru FC, the team in picture is Bengaluru FC. Now they have made it to the knockout stages, and Albert Roca ends on a high, and he gets them to the quarterfinals. This is where I think he came into the team as well when Ashley Westwood left the team, and he was in charge of the knockout stages. They're just coming back to where he joined in, and that's where he's leaving the team on a high. And it's been a great season for them. A couple of trophies under his name, and what a way to finish off his tenure at the club.
Yeah, it seems like he highlighted the Bengaluru FC legacy in this match. The way the team was set up. You had Sunil, Udanta, Subhashish, Nishu, Lalswam Maurya. These are all players that you identify with Bengaluru FC. Pankaj CM, Malswam Zwala. These are all guys that you just think of as players who have really benefited from being in Bengaluru FC and being a part of that system. So, yeah, just look at the way the goals were created. 3 assists for Sunil Chetri. Of course, he gave a beautiful gift to Roka on his last game. Nishu was coming out. Nishu, we just know he's somebody who has benefited, developed so much ever since he has joined in Bengaluru FC. A couple of years we used to hear about all Bengaluru FC staffers and fans going, Nishu, he's going to be the one, he's the up-and-coming guy. And now we see exactly what he can do, out there. And fantastic night for him. Udanta was doing so well. 3 goals scored by Indians, and the 4th one had an assist from an Indian. That's Bengaluru FC.
Yeah.
That's dominance. We are supposed to, and given the kind of standards that we have in India, we are supposed to get 2-3 goal wins over a team like Abahani, especially when they're playing with 2 foreigners. So yeah, that's what happened. It's a little bit. I wish they had gotten a draw away in Maldives at least. We wouldn't have seen this desperation at the last moment. But at the end they came out on top. So that's it. That's all you want. Their what do you call it? Their journey in Asia continues, and it's so fitting because when Albert Roca came in, he took over from somebody else who had taken Bengaluru FC into the knockouts. So now he has left Bengaluru FC in the same position in the knockouts of AFC Cup, and whoever is going to come in is going to benefit from it. So it's so Roca's perfect parting gift to the club.
Right. And that brings us to the end of the first half of the show. We will head on to a break. And on the other side, we've got national football team coach coming up. Quotes from the coach. Yes, that's on the other side. Come back to us after the break.
Yeah. It's IVM here. Let's go. We the IVM kids on the block over here. Just to talk, taking a break from producing all day, coming on this podcast cause we got stuff to say. IVM Daily is the name of the show. Monday to Friday, we ready to go. Talking about stuff in our head. We might even talk about our favorite bread. Signing out, it's IVM here, the podcast network that's in your ear.
Catch IVM Daily Monday to Friday on the IVM Podcast app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back after the break, guys, and as we promised, we will be getting you quotes, and here we are, quotes coming on from the national team. They are in Mumbai. I am in Mumbai. Chiranjit will be back in Mumbai. But what's happening here, apart from the hot weather, is some hot news, some big statements coming out from the mouth of the national team coach, Stephen Constantine. He says, who in the right mind can complain about the national team or the coach? If you have a complaint, it must be because you don't like me or you don't like the way we play football. I don't care. Chiranjit, is this a rant? Is this giving back of all the criticism that Coach Stephen Constantine has been getting because we lost that one game against Kyrgyzstan, or is he rightly... He is right in what he's saying.
Yeah, well, you can't really expect this national team to play, Zinga or Tiki-Taka, or some elevated style of football, right? And it's not like we have players that are that good who can entertain us as well as deliver results. Even in Bob Houghton's time, we had, long ball football and, just physical defense and all of that, because that's what we have to do if we have to survive in the international stage with these players. Maybe in 10 years that scene is going to change, but we should not expect beautiful football from Indian national team. And the other thing that we should not expect is personal talent football, and this is something that I have been thinking about. This is something that's been a contention with Stephen Constantine, that he does not go for some of the players who are doing so well in the national leagues, but I'm not trying to justify it. Maybe if Susiraj is in the national team, he's gonna provide us more goals and all that stuff. Maybe if Romeo and Brandon and a lot of others who are out there, maybe they will play better. Definitely, that possibility is there. But what Constantine thinks is that even though they are like really talented players in India, when they're going up and facing some tough opponent, they will look mediocre. So it's more important for him, and I'm just trying to understand how he thinks here. So it's more important for him to just get players who can play a certain kind of game rather than players who have a little bit of talent in the Indian circuit. But in comparison, when you're playing in Asian Cup or something like that, that's going to fade. That's not going to matter because he can't play the game he plays in I-League or ISL in Asian Cup or even a well put together opponent. One good example is how Shillong Lajong beat ISL teams in the Super Cup. Okay, there's no question that ISL teams had better individual players. Like even Aizawl FC got wins in Super Cup against ISL teams. Yeah, those teams had better individual players. They had the pick of the best players in Indian football. But what happened there was that Aizawl FC or Shillong Lajong just had that extra bit of teamwork with them. And if you have a good blood and sweat team which is giving its all and playing a very limited or determined or precise brand of football, they can get a win against a team that maybe has better players than them. One recent example would be the Aizawl FC versus Abahan and Aizawl FC versus New Radiant game. Like New Radiant had better players, Aizawl FC got the win. So that's I think what Stephen Constantine is trying to do here. So he likes players, likes strikers who are good off the ball. And that's his contention for a lot of really good good scorers in Indian football that he doesn't like, is that they expect the ball to come to them and then they just score the goals. And what he says is that may happen in I-League or ISL, but it's not going to happen in an international match where we will have to chase more of the ball and the pressure will be way, way higher than a domestic game. Because there will almost never be a scenario where we are dominating.
Yeah.
So that's what he thinks, and that's what he goes with. And maybe it doesn't look that good, but as long as we get a few results here and there, I don't think we should complain because these are not the guys who will take us into World Cup, for God's sake. So
yeah, and I think on his part, on the coach's part, I think he has every right to reply to criticism the way he would want to. Obviously, there will not be many takers for that. No, but what he also mentioned is that you have to stop comparing the Indian team against compare the Indian team with standard of play, like you're talking about Barcelona. He did mention that. Now, when you watch a team that has been well settled, that has been groomed over the years, that's club football, you don't expect the same from a team that has been down and out almost, and then you rise up in a way that you try to get the results along your favor. And consistency is what we had been lacking. One result here and there, but a 13 game unbeaten streak, including one unofficial game, that leaves you with a qualification for the Asian Cup, which is a long distance dream when you are lagging at the bottom of the rankings. And one achievement, if you have to give it, it is this 6 games that we went almost unbeaten. In the last game of the campaign is when we lost. And if we just keep that aside, it's important to understand the calendar that we follow in Indian football is not very favorable for any coach. And I think he did a tremendous job just to get hold of the team that he wanted to and get past that finish line, and qualification was all important, and I think we've done that with great might. So he's got every right to brag about it, and I will stand by the statement that he said. It might not be the best way to communicate your emotions, but it's out there. You have it in front of you. You've got your results in your favor. You've got the qualification to the Asian Cup, and here you are talking about the brand of football that he's played. Obviously, he's got every right to question whatever question comes.
Just we have to remember how Indian team was when he came in. Like we were going into SAF Championship, and everybody was thinking Afghanistan was going to kick our ass. Right, so that's where we were. And we won that. We went on to continue winning. We were so used to losing before that. And that's something we should never forget. We lost and lost and lost. Even 2015 was full of losses in the World Cup qualifiers. And we were in situations where, Aizawl was clashing with the national team. And he had trouble getting players out of those Aizawl teams. He wanted them 4 days earlier, but of course, sometimes those players went outside. I think there was an instance or two where the players came back to India from a national team game, and within 24 hours they were playing an ISL game. Yeah. So it was a complete chaos that he came in, and I also remember like one game, I think Turkmenistan away or something like that. When India were stuck in an airport for more than a day and hardly had any time to prepare, so it was all chaos that he got to sort. Then after winning the SAF Championship, when he earned the trust of the federation, that okay, let him try his hand at the Asian Cup qualifiers. Even at that time, hardly anybody thought that we were going to make it to the Asian Cup, and he delivered that. Yeah. So he can only deliver that much. He can't give us the moon right now. I mean, it's not possible. There's a very good chance that he does not stay after the Asian Cup, but because he is maybe the biggest reason, the prime factor in India's success in getting into the Asian Cup. He deserves to stay, and he deserves to, just experiment with the team, try out new players, and play the brand of football that he wants. I don't really think there can be too much weight of expectations on this team here.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, I should also mention this quote from him. Apart from Germany during the 13-game unbeaten period, there was no other team in that form that India were. And that's
no. He should not have said that.
Now that is something that is I will not agree to. On one side, when you talk about not comparing the Indian team with the other set teams, you're contradicting yourself there. Again, you put yourselves against with the best of the world, and just expect not to be trolled on, not to be talked about. Now that was something that's gone overboard.
Yeah, I mean, it's like comparing Sunil Chhetri with Messi just because both of them scored a lot of international goals, but it just doesn't happen. The stats, the world football is so diverse and it's got so much depth that numbers alone don't make anything. So yeah, he's trying to defend himself here, but what do you even say, man? I don't agree with that comparison with Germany at all. I mean, but I guess what he was trying to say is that there are 200 countries playing football. Everybody wants to go on an unbeaten run, and even it's not like others don't have the option of organizing favorable fixtures. Actually, everybody does that. Everybody tries to game the rankings. Everybody tries to get the best possible fixtures for them at their level. Everybody did that. Only, India actually made it happen. It's very rare for teams to, just stay unbeaten for that long. So in a way, it's okay, but don't compare India with Germany. Come on, man.
But one thing that can be, a proud moment for everybody is one of the active players in India, Sunil Chhetri, is right up there among the top active goal scorers in the international.
But
that is something to be proud of. Yes.
That's a fallacy, though. If you try to compare them as players with the other active high-level goal scorers, then that would be wrong. So I think it's the same thing, same fallacy is going on. Just numbers don't mean anything in world football.
Yeah.
When we are talking this kind of depth in the spectrum of quality.
Yeah. All right. So that brings us to the end of the show, and that was a long talk about what's going on in the Indian circuit. And yes, very close to the Intercontinental Cup, where 3 nations will be coming in and playing in right here in Mumbai. We will be getting you all the live updates and what's happening prior to the matches. Do stay tuned at the rate TFG Football is what you want to follow on Twitter, and you can also download the IVM podcast app and listen to TFG Football and or many other shows that you would like to. It's available on Android and iOS. If you're listening to us on YouTube, do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and do let us know via comments what you thought about all that we spoke about today. Till another episode, guys, have a great day. Take care.
There she stands, a podcast addict. Outside the bank, having travelled several miles to get in with other poor souls like her. The journey, though daunting for this youngling, will have some comfort because she has downloaded her favourite podcast. You can see more of her species on ivmpodcasts.com. Your one-stop destination where you can check out the coolest Indian podcasts. Happy listening.